The cold wind tugged at Cole's coat as he walked between rows of headstones, November pressing hard against his skin. The cemetery was silent, save for the brittle crunch of leaves underfoot, a quiet that had become familiar, almost sacred. He came every month, same hour, same path, same grave. Sarah. But today there was someone already there. A child. Curled up at the base of the headstone, fast asleep, her knees tucked to her chest, face half hidden beneath a worn hoodie. But it wasn't the girl that stopped Cole in his tracks. It was the photograph in her hands, crinkled at the corners, smudged with sleep and dirt, and yet so painfully clear. Sarah, laughing, holding this same little girl in her arms. Cole's chest tightened. For a moment he couldn't move, couldn't breathe. His eyes locked on the image like it was a ghost. He had never seen that photo before. He had never seen that child before. The German shepherd beside her stirred, old, scarred, protective. A long, jagged scar ran down its flank. Its eyes met his, calm but alert, still watching. The girl shifted, clutching the picture tighter, as if sensing the presence of someone unfamiliar. "I just wanted to see her again," she whispered, without opening her eyes. "She used to come to the center. She read stories, gave me books, said she'd come back." Cole's voice cracked. "What's your name, kid?" "Lila," the girl whispered. The photo, the child, the dog, the cold grave. Something had splintered open inside him, and he didn't know what it meant, only that it was real. He glanced at the sky. The wind was turning sharp, biting. "Come on," he said softly. "Let's get you out of the cold." And for the first time in a long time, Cole Sterling walked away from Sarah's grave with more than just grief. Brookstone sat on the edge of town, tucked behind a grove of bare-limbed maples and a weathered playground that had seen better decades. The red brick building was old, but not cold. Worn down, yes, but softened by time and kindness. Cole had driven there in silence, stealing glances at the rearview mirror. Lila sat in the back, arms around Ranger, who never once took his eyes off Cole. At the door, Miss Foster, the director, met them with a mix of surprise and something quieter, recognition. "Lila," she said softly, "you found your way there again." Over tea in her office, surrounded by old books and the ticking of a crooked wall clock, Ms. Foster explained. Sarah had been a regular visitor at Brookstone for nearly 6 years, reading stories, tutoring, bringing in dogs from the shelter as emotional companions for the kids. She was particularly close to Lila, Ms. Foster said. They had a bond. Sarah even started the adoption process before she... Her voice trailed off. "She never told me," Cole murmured. "She was going to surprise you," Foster said gently. Cole looked over at Lila through the glass. She sat cross-legged in the corner, showing Ranger something drawn in crayon. They looked like they belonged together. "And the dog?" "His name's Ranger. He's a retired search and rescue, hurt during a mission. No one wanted him until Sarah did. She brought him here, said Lila needed a guardian." Cole exhaled, heavy with weight he didn't yet understand. "She's run away twice since Sarah passed," Ms. Foster added. "Always to the same place, the grave." Outside, the sky darkened with the promise of snow. Cole left soon after, but not for long. That night, he stood in front of a door Sarah had always kept locked, and for the first time since her death, he turned the knob. The door creaked open with a sound that echoed too loud for such a small house. Dust motes danced in the low amber light as Cole stepped into the room he hadn't entered since the day Sarah died. Her room. It was untouched. Time had settled in like a guest that no one asked to leave. A thin veil of dust on her books, a folded sweater still draped over the back of her chair, a mug long dry beside the window. Cole stood for a long while, breathing in the quiet. Then he noticed the wooden jewelry box on her writing desk, blue ceramic inlay chipped at the corner. Inside, nestled among old letters and a dried wildflower, was a small USB drive and a note in her handwriting. "For Cole when it's time." His hand trembled as he plugged the drive into his laptop. The screen flickered. Then her face filled the frame. Sarah. Her hair was pulled back messily, eyes red-rimmed but calm. She smiled, a little sadly, before she spoke. "If you're watching this, I guess I'm gone." Cole couldn't breathe. "There's so much I wanted to say, so many things I didn't know how to. I was scared of how you'd react, of losing you again." She paused, swallowed. "Cole, Lila is our daughter." Silence. "I was pregnant during that time we separated. I didn't tell you. You were hurting, distant, and I thought, maybe when you're ready, maybe one day I'd surprise you." Tears streamed down Cole's face. "But time ran out. I tried to fix it. I was finalizing the adoption to make it official. But I didn't get the chance." She looked straight into the lens. "She's yours, Cole. She has your eyes. She needs you." The video faded to black, but her voice lingered, like smoke in his chest. Cole sat frozen for a long while, staring at the screen. Then, slowly, he stood. There was no more doubt, no more waiting. He was going to get his daughter. The next morning, Cole returned to Brookstone with the USB in his pocket and Sarah's voice still echoing in his mind. Ms. Foster welcomed him into her office. She could see it in his face. Something had shifted. "I know everything now," he said quietly, placing the USB on her desk. "Sarah, she recorded a message. She told me the truth." Ms. Foster nodded slowly, as if she'd been waiting for this day. From her filing cabinet, she retrieved a manila folder, worn, familiar. Inside were Lila's birth certificate, a DNA test, and a letter from Sarah. "She left these with us," Foster explained. "Told me to keep them safe just in case you ever came." Cole read each page with trembling hands. His name was there, not as a guardian, but as a father. "I want to take her home," he said. Foster studied him. "Sarah trusted you with her heart. If she trusted you with Lila too, then so can I." And just like that, Cole was granted temporary custody. They called Lila into the room. She stepped in quietly, Ranger close behind. Cole crouched down, not too close. "Hey Lila," he said gently, "would you like to come stay with me for a while?" She looked up, uncertain, but something in his eyes made her nod. She didn't understand all of it yet, but something in his eyes, warmer, steadier, almost familiar, made her believe she was finally safe. Back home, the house felt different, warmer, messier, alive. Cole fumbled through making dinner, folded towels the wrong way, forgot to buy milk, but he tried. And every night, Lila curled up on the couch beside him, Ranger always in the middle, like a living bridge between the girl she had been and the family they were becoming. The days settled into something like rhythm, imperfect, but theirs. Cole started labeling kitchen cabinets just to remember where things went. He learned how Lila liked her toast, extra crispy, and that she always fed Ranger first, even when she was starving. Her laughter began to return, tentative at first, then more freely. She started drawing again, bright crayons on scrap paper, little stick figures holding hands beneath the words, "Me and Daddy." At night, they read from Sarah's old books. Lila leaned into Cole's side without saying much, but it was enough. Ranger always lay in the middle, one paw draped across Lila's feet like a promise. But good days don't last forever, not without tests. It started with Ranger. His hind legs began to tremble when he stood. Then one morning, he couldn't climb the porch steps. The vet's words were gentle but unrelenting. "Advanced hip dysplasia. He needs surgery, soon." Cole nodded, but his chest felt hollow. The estimate? $3,000. 0 cents. He didn't flinch, not in front of Lila. But the truth was, he didn't have it. 3 nights later, it got worse. He was jolted awake by a strange choking noise. Rushing into Lila's room, he found her gasping in her sleep, eyes fluttering, chest still. Ranger was already nudging her frantically, whining. The hospital ran tests, the doctor explained calmly. "It's sleep apnea, dangerous without treatment. She'll need a CPAP machine. Every night. Another $2,500.00. Specialized equipment. Insurance delays. Waiting lists. Cole sat in his truck outside the hospital, hands gripping the wheel until his knuckles went white. He had barely become a father. Now he was being asked to carry the weight of one. Grief he could manage. But this? Failing her, letting her suffer? That was a different kind of pain. And for the first time in years, Cole Sterling was afraid. Cole stared at the kitchen table. In front of him were 2 bills from the vet, one printed estimate for a CPAP machine and a bank statement that might as well have laughed in his face. He took a long breath, rubbed the back of his neck, then picked up the phone. The voice on the other end answered on the second ring. "Sterling?" "Yeah," Cole said. "You still working private contracts?" Frank, an old friend from his days in security, went quiet. "What are you looking for?" "High risk, quick pay." More silence. Then, "There's a cargo escort job. Dangerous route. 2 weeks on the road. Pays $5,000. Cole didn't hesitate. "I'll take it." He hung up before he could change his mind. That night, he knelt by Lila's bed while she slept, the faint hiss of a loaner breathing machine filling the room. Ranger, half asleep on the floor, opened one eye to watch him. "I'll be back," Cole whispered. "I promise." The next morning, he packed a small duffel, walked Lila to the porch where Ms. Foster waited. She clung to Ranger's neck, confused. "You're leaving?" "Just for a bit," Cole said, crouching down. "Got a job, grown-up stuff." Her voice cracked. "Will you come back?" He hesitated, then knelt, eye level with her. "You bet I will," he said, voice quiet but sure, "because now I've got someone waiting." She didn't ask more, but she didn't let go of Ranger for a long time. 2 days into the convoy job, somewhere in the Nevada desert, Cole's truck was ambushed. A loud blast, screams, gunshots. Cole dove into chaos, instinct, muscle memory, adrenaline, shielding a younger guard from a bullet meant for him. He didn't remember hitting the ground. He didn't remember the pain. But when the darkness closed in, he remembered Lila's voice. "Will you come back?" The hospital corridors felt colder than they should. Too white, too quiet. Lila clutched Pastor Mike's hand as they stepped into the ICU. The little girl who rarely said much now had tears tracking silently down her cheeks. Ranger limped beside her, each step slow but steady, like he too was refusing to be left behind. Through the glass, Cole lay still, bruised, broken, pale. Tubes ran from his arms. His chest rose and fell with machine assistance. He looked nothing like the man who had taught her how to change a light bulb, who burned pancakes but always tried again. Nothing like the man who had whispered, "I'll be back." The nurse started to gently usher Lila away, but she resisted, stepping forward instead. Her small hand reached for the attending doctor's coat. "Please," she whispered, voice trembling. "Please save him." The doctor turned, surprised. "He got hurt because of me," she added. Her eyes welled again, but she stood taller, as if something inside her had decided it was time to speak. "My dad got hurt because he wanted me to breathe at night," she said, voice barely louder than a whisper. "Because he wanted my dog to walk again." A pause. "He doesn't wear a tie. He doesn't live in a big house, but he shows up." Her eyes locked with the doctor's. "He chose me." Silence. Pastor Mike looked away, blinking hard. A nurse wiped her eyes. No one said a word. Someone recorded it. No one meant to. But within hours, the clip had reached half the town. The video of Lila's quiet plea, standing there in her oversized hoodie, voice shaking but steady, had reached thousands. And not just views. Donations poured in. Some came from strangers, others from neighbors who had once crossed the street to avoid Cole. A few came with handwritten notes. For the girl who reminded us what real family means. The hospital called by noon. The funds were in place. Ranger's surgery was scheduled for the next day. Lila's CPAP machine was already en route. Cole still hadn't woken. But his room changed. Cards began to line the windowsill. Get well balloons, a stuffed bear Lila wouldn't let go of. Pastor Mike brought books. Miss Foster came by with soup she knew Cole would hate but Sarah would have insisted on. And Lila? She never left his side. She read aloud from Sarah's favorite storybook each night, her voice trembling on the hard words. Ranger curled at her feet, bandaged but breathing easier. They waited together. Then one evening, as the sun broke gold across the hospital curtains, Cole's fingers twitched. Lila gasped, "Daddy?" His eyes fluttered open, confused, groggy. But then he saw her. Messy hair, tired eyes, the hint of a smile. "You came back," he rasped. She nodded, tears slipping quietly down her cheeks. "So did you." And when he reached over and laid his palm gently on Ranger's fur, still warm, still alive, a sound broke from him that hadn't come in years. A laugh. Weak, raw, but real. For the first time in a very long time, they were okay. The breeze was gentle that morning. Soft sunlight filtered through the trees as Cole and Lila stood side by side in front of Sarah's grave. Lila placed a small bundle of wild daisies against the headstone, her mother's favorite. "I hope you see us," she whispered. "I think you'd be proud." Cole didn't speak. He never needed to at the grave. Instead, he reached down and gently squeezed Lila's hand. Behind them, Ranger waited patiently. His fur had grayed, but his spirit hadn't faded. He still followed Lila everywhere, still slept outside her door like he always had. A lot had changed in a year. Cole now spent his days teaching wilderness skills to kids who didn't always have someone waiting at home. The center said he was the favorite. He just shrugged. Lila still wrote and drew every evening after school. Her first picture book had just been printed, small, simple, and titled, "The Man Who Came Back for Me." And every Sunday they took the old boat out on the lake. Lila at the bow, Cole rowing, Ranger nestled in his custom-built seat between them. They didn't talk much on the water. They didn't have to. As they turned to leave, Lila glanced up at her dad. "We're not broken anymore," she said. Cole looked down at her, this fierce, gentle girl who saved him in more ways than one. "No," he said, voice catching, "we're whole.